roadmap going forward, right? So for the how do you present this thing?
Just waiting for them to load first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maximize the screen.
Oh yeah.
Just click on.
Right. Thanks. Okay, just a quick question for those new faces. Pak, Ibu, kira-kira bisa ikutin? Bisa ya? Yang ini sudah CT ya? Sudah certified trainer? Belum? Oh? Oh, udah ikut trainer? Oh, udah sering? Sudah sering run gamenya? Baru satu semester. Alright, so here's a bit of roadmap going forward. Here we are. We started here, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and now we are about 7. About 7 because we keep adding stuff, so it's probably 7.1 soon and so on. But we call it 7. Okay, so here we are. And obviously these are all the countries that have run MonsoonSIM, and we're not going to go through that. In terms of learners, that's where we start, 1,000, 2,000. Currently we have about 40,000 learners in the system. Okay, so with this, which means that every year, every day we have about 1,000, users playing this, which is not a lot really. But we should, we can increase further. So it's about 300,000 a year session. Okay, so let's go on. Now, in the past, we only have competition. But going forward, we would like to have more community building. We are going to have competition, we're going to have MonsoonSIM Club, and then we're going to have events such as this. Okay? And the certification, and for certified trainers, we really want to make, like what Alex has said, easier to teach, more to teach, easier to learn. So we're going to have KPI export for further study, which we already done. And we will have more choices and variety in document management. You saw the document management just now, that one can be printed out so easily. Okay, you just click, within 1 minute, you get your document. More language support, more micro concept, and again, as I said earlier, every month we'll add more concepts into the system. More micro courses. Have you used micro course?
Some.
Yes?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? I thought micro course was very, very easy to run. How about you, Dylan? Not yet? Okay, so micro course is something that you can explore. It's really, really easy. Just click micro course, you can run the course. More context-sensitive helps and descriptions. Easier to configure. We're going to be able to search for configuration soon. So right now, your configuration is all categorized, but then we'll make it able to search. More default configuration, more comprehensive game report, more exciting, more disturbance, market disturbance, and this is for certified trainers. For the learners, you will have more concept to learn. We will add stuff like leasing, we'll have stuff like hospitality, and so on. We'll add this big concept also. Okay, and more ways to learn. So not just in curriculum, extracurriculum, competition, leagues, we're gonna have leagues coming soon. So we'll have a MonsoonSIM Club. Later you'll hear from Ricky about our new initiative called MonsoonSIM Club. And then we'll have leagues, and then more fun to learn, more market dynamics. Okay, so at the end, this is what we want to achieve. Easier to teach, more to teach, and easier to run, more to run. Okay, so I have about 20 minutes, 15 minutes. I think we leave it for discussion about the roadmap or the future or the wish list. I can certainly, we hear what you say, which is substitution, product substitution concept. What else do we what else are we looking for that will help you? John? Anything?
Um, I like to play with the idea of uncertainty.
Okay.
So absolute uncertainty is one of the conditions. One of the conditions that I like to expose my students to, in order for them to react, to build resilience, and so on and so forth. Already we're introducing more modules for market disruption, and I'm already thinking about how I can craft that into lesson plan. But I wonder if there can be chaos mode.
Trade war.
Not just in trade war. So every algorithm, every function that you have can have a random parameter at the end of it, and there's no way to predict what that random parameter will be. It's selected by the system.
Yes, yes.
And you can activate this at the beginning or at different times throughout the game. So system behavior is going to fluctuate. Human behavior will obviously fluctuate in response. And you have greater and greater fluctuations. So this is a bit of the ego side of me, where I like to torture my students and expose them to such things. But given that this is a virtual game, right, and there's no danger of them going bankrupt in the real world.
Right.
So this is like a perfect platform for them to experience absolute chaos, absolute uncertainty, and if they can have a strategy that somehow prevails throughout the absolute uncertainty, then they found something. It might not be a winning strategy, but they found something.
Okay.
Could we have that, like a separate mode altogether?
Currently, we have limited version of that, a scaled down thing. For example, when you select vendor currently, you can select whether its on-time delivery is 100%, or 80%, or 60%, 40%, or system select. So if you click system select, then even the teacher doesn't know what is the reliability of the vendor in terms of delivery. So that there's certain uncontrollable, dynamics already put in there. Yesterday we talked about having the customer having late payment, which is also a good idea. So we are going to bring it in almost to the top of our wish list, which means that we are going to allow the customer. So currently we're going to have 5-day payment terms, but again we're going to let the system select. If this customer is on-time payment, reliability, 20%, 40%, or system select. So if you really want the student to study, let it system select and let them see if they can pick up which vendor is actually late.
So
which customer actually late.
It's definitely useful. I can see where that can come in handy. But my idea is a little bit more twisted than that. I want that to change throughout the game. So if let's say you're going to have a system select, and the system select say 20%,
yeah,
then it's 20% throughout the game. But I don't want it to be 20% throughout the game. I want it to change from 20% to 60, and then back to 0, and then
put
jump
auto
all over. And they're going to have
put
to
auto.
respond to that.
Just put auto.
Yes.
Is that possible? I don't know. It's a suggestion.
So I'll share something that I discovered in my exploration, right? Which has pluses and minuses in terms of, because what I discovered for what I was planning, I don't want, but it's something that you probably will want, right? For what you're looking for, right? And so what I discovered is, since MonsoonSIM is config on the fly, turn things on, turn things off, change parameters, right, as the instructor, right? And so in my discovery of playing with things like turning holidays on and off, setting what the holiday randomization is, for example, even the base retail, and I was only playing really with the retail module at this point, right? So I don't know how much this applies to other modules, right? But at least playing around with the retail demand parameters, right? If I change the holiday scaling or change the holiday days, even the base level daily demand is re-randomized. Every time you change one of the settings, everything is re-randomized, right?
Yeah.
So all you have to do is go and change one of those, and suddenly what was before the daily demand for a product will now be totally different. So that's instructor intensive in that you have to do that every time you want something to change, right? But A, it's possible, and B, you get to control when it happens, right? So you can control the timing of it.
Yeah. I mean, you want some control because you're the instructor anymore. Otherwise,
Yeah, so you can't control the outcome. You can't say, oh, I want demand in
I
Singapore,
need to control the parameters.
Singapore to go up twice as much as before.
Exactly.
But you change something and everything gets re-randomized. And so it's different than it was before.
Yeah.
And now the students will have to say, oh, well, that's not the same as it was before. Now I have to discover what it is now and react to.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Actually, one of the idea, right, refer to Derek's. When we change the parameter in the holidays, actually it affect to all the location, which is, should not be like that. For example, if you have the holiday in Singapore, it should not support.
It's different, huh?
Yeah,
In
should
reality,
be.
it's different.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. We
But yeah, it's just the limitation of simulations, right?
I
It's
know.
never as complex as you can in the real world, right? It's always a simplification, and you have to make some compromises, right?
Yeah, I just suggest like this, maybe from the parameters, right, the holiday, you just have 3 locations, and you can put holiday in, that's all.
Okay, one of the ideas that was proposed by Didi is I think we are going to include it in version 8. is the following. Is the following. We are going to let the student have access to 5 areas.
Yeah.
And these 5 areas have different parameters, like the population and the demand and the holiday and so on. Now, when we start the game, it is up to the student to set up their shop. They pick whichever area they want to set up their shop. They have different rental, they have different payment, they have different demand. So it is, I think, very interesting. So the learners can go open the shop and they say, no, this area is too many competition. I shut it down, I go to a small island. So it may be a very small population, lower demand, but I got the whole market. So we are looking into that. So it's probably something in the future we'll look into that. So it would be make the whole thing even more interesting, right? So you can go into everything go to Jakarta, or you get away from Jakarta, right? Okay, because in Jakarta you can have 10 7-Eleven in one street, it's crazy. Okay, what else? Okay, another idea is that we may start to limit the way you change the product and the pricing. Because the reason why we are doing that is we want to play global game eventually, which means that a game in Singapore, the player is really dealing with someone in Canada, but they don't know who is playing the game also. And the only way you can support this model, we call it global game, is that everybody is playing the same product at the same pricing. At least the price, at least the BOM is the same, and the price cost is the same. Because you cannot have orange juice in Singapore for 10 US dollar, Singapore dollar, and in Canada it's only $1. Then it doesn't work like that. It's not the real business world. In business world, you gotta have commonality. And to support that, that's the only restriction we may impose, which means that you cannot change product and the pricing, but the rest you can. Which means that you can really deal with everyone in the world when they start the game. And they may stop the game. And what would happen to you? So there's a lot of things that we need to consider. If they stop the game, that means that just like they go bankrupt, something like that. So how are you going to deal with it? So it's a lot of complication, but we may or may not get there, but there's something we're talking. So we're talking about the future, so this is something that we like to.
I can see where you are coming from the simulation point of view, but as an educator, if you advance too fast, too quickly, we may have an issue, especially when we develop curriculum.
Correct.
So we need to let us know in advance what might be the changes in the next 1 year, because I will be sharing what I will be teaching in my course,
Yes.
and it's going to implement in January and August. If you change along the way, I'm not able to change so fast, you know, because we have protocols and so
Yes,
on.
yes.
So that I hope that you can
Totally
take into
agree.
consideration.
Totally agree. Totally agree. We will definitely not going to rush this thing. Okay. Everything is evolutionary. Okay. Don't worry, we can disrupt. Another idea is we are going to have probably product expiration date and also queuing theory for the retail store. I think today the retail store can sell as many as they want. If I'm saying it doesn't. Okay, if you don't have stock in the retail store, then of course your sales drop today. I don't know whether you noticed, but it does affect.
Asia.
But if you have a holiday, you need to add stuff. Otherwise, you cannot get the maximum sales out of the holiday, which means that there is a queuing thing going on. So if your demand is such, then you have to have such number of people working in the retail store, which means the HR has to kick in to hire temporary worker. Otherwise, they cannot meet the demand. Because I was in a store yesterday, last week in Jakarta. It was a big sales because they're closing down Metro. Were you there?
No.
Metro? My God, so many people, right? So I picked so many stuff, and then I look at the line. Oh no! I put back one by one. And the next day I come back again. I say, I need to I see this line again. So there's a lot of opportunity lost because of the line. So that thing we need to build. We can build it into the game. Right? It's a simple, but yet it is real and it tied to the HR. Okay, so these are some of my thoughts sharing with you. Any more? Dante, any comment from you?
I know, I'm just enjoying the whole exchange.
In that case, we go for a 15-minute break. Okay?
Okay.
Go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you show us
No, you come back.
agenda, show agenda for